Hello, everybody. It's good to see at least those of you who have your cameras on. It's good to see all of you. Um, this is our meeting. There's not a whole lot to talk about. At this point, the PBGC has started their takeover of the plan. And what I mean by that is I'm still getting them information. They are still collecting and reviewing information from us, from the actuaries, from the auditors. There's still some administrative pieces that I still have to do because they refer to the time period before the PBGC takeover. In addition, we are continuing to do some administrative tasks until the PBGC gets all the data that they need to and they upload everybody into their system and so on and so forth. So we're still processing benefit forms, change of addresses, things like that, along with Bank of America as well as GRS. But for the most part, we are facilitating getting the information over to them so that they can take over. I believe, and unless somebody tells me differently, I believe that all the benefits have continued. There might have been a little bit of a hiccup on the initial time between me and the PBGC, but I think that that's been rectified. And so far, well, as far as I'm concerned, you guys may tell me something different, but so far so good. The interaction with the PBGC and Julie and I and GRS and everybody has been very cooperative. I'm happy to say that even Prospect has been cooperative in terms of getting historical documents over to the PBGC, or at least giving them access so that they can make copies of what they need. Um, and so with that, the process is moving along. It's taking a little bit longer than I anticipated, a little bit longer than PBGC anticipated. But I think that that may be related to the fact that I, as receiver, don't have all of the records that they need. Prospect has some. So you're adding another layer of communication and a layer of people and coordination and everything else that otherwise wouldn't exist. In addition, the records that I have are limited. Those are supplemented by what Prospect has, but even what Prospect has isn't the entirety of everything because Prospect got what they got during the sale. GRS got from Angel what they got. So there's because there's multiple levels and multiple transitions that happened here from, I guess I'll say, the early 2000s and after. It just adds a few more cooks to the kitchen that need to help coordinate. But everything, I have nothing to report that would indicate any problem or delay or anything like that. As far as everything that I've been doing and Julie's been doing, responses have been quick on both sides. They have a very large team and they are moving as quickly as they can with that team. Um, and that's in essence where I am right now. I am happy to answer any questions about anything. But this was I set this up because I want to keep, as long as I'm still involved in some way, I want to keep you informed as things go on, even if it's just to tell you that there's things are moving along, and to the extent you have questions or things that you've experienced are different than that, I'd like to know that so that we can address it. Any questions? Go if you're on mute. So if you unmute yourself, I'm happy to.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can. I
Okay.
can.
My question is, with the PBGC and everything that's going on right now in Washington, DC, and a lot of closing of federal offices and departments and so on and so forth, um, do we need to be worried about the future of getting payments if they close down the PBGC?
Well, I guess I'll answer it in this way. Obviously, I cannot predict what may or may not happen in Washington. There's been no report of anything with regard to the PBGC. The PBGC, I'll also say is they are not, they're a government agency or maybe even a quasi-government agency, so they're a creation of statute.
Okay.
And they are not funded through government money.
Oh,
They're
okay.
funded through, like an insurance company, they're funded through the premiums that are paid to them
I
or
see.
monies that they absorb as a result of other failed pensions. So
Mhm.
that's where their funding comes from. It's not federal funds. So the members of the PBGC are still, for example, subject to the emails. If you've heard in the news that Doge has been asking different federal employees to essentially justify their day-to-day existence.
Mhm.
And so all employees that fall under the federal umbrella are part of that, of which PBGC is.
Mhm.
But I have not heard anything. I haven't been told anything that would indicate that the PBGC is in the crosshairs in any way relative to either shuttering the operation or anything like that.
Mhm.
And because it's a creation of statute, I actually think it would be extremely difficult for that to happen.
Now,
Uh,
when you talk about premiums, is that the money that we've been paying for 5 years? That
the
how
money
much
we've been
point
paying, as well as all other um,
PBGC?
all other ERISA qualified plans that have to pay premiums to PBGC.
Mhm.
So it's
So
similar to any insurance company. So you and I, let's say we have car insurance with Liberty Mutual. We'll pay our premiums. You may never get into an accident. I may
right.
get into one. And if they have to pay it out, whatever funds they have, whether it came from you, me, or somebody else, they pay out with those funds.
Mhm. So if it came to pass that they did disband this PBGC, what recourse would we, because you'd be gone by then, what your litigation and your coverage of the program would be
Right.
gone. So what recourse would we have at that point if something like that should happen?
That's a good question that I've always told you if I don't have the answer to the questions you ask, I'll tell you I don't have the answer rather than guess. I
Mhm,
don't have the answer to that.
mhm,
For example, I don't know if it were shut down, if the obligations that existed as of the time it were shut down had to be honored, but they
mhm.
wouldn't take on new obligations,
Okay.
things of that nature.
Depends
So
on how they structure it.
that's exactly correct. And if it's attacked at all, I mean,
Mhm,
we are we're 4 months, 4.5 months into, or 3.5 months, I guess it is,
mhm,
into a new administration. And there's a lot of questions because there's been some fast moving things going
mhm,
on.
yeah.
Um, but one thing I will say is that with regard to the targets, I guess, of Doge,
Mhm,
you heard about them right out of the gate, and it's been the same ones.
mhm.
That doesn't mean that there won't be new ones down the road as things change, but again, because the PBGC is not a organization that is a traditional federal organization, but is actually created by the legislature, by Congress
Oh, okay.
for a specific purpose. I
Mhm,
believe similar to some of the things that have been challenged in court, I believe that any challenge to the PBGC would require, or any impact on the PBGC
have
would
to go to
require Congress
Congress.
approval.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, okay. Thank you very much. That was very comprehensive. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Steve,
Yes, John.
two things. Number one, you sent out a memo that informed us that the Rhode Island income tax will not be taken out by the PBGC when it takes over. We ran into a number of people who were unaware of it. that Rhode Island income tax will no longer be taken out when PBGC takes over. Perhaps you could set another announcement or something, because a lot of people had not paid attention to that.
I will do that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, John. I will kind of reinforce it, and we have a hearing coming up. I believe it's next. Oh wait, I think it just got. Julie, did the hearing just get moved? Was it because the judge was away? I see her name on my screen, but I don't hear her voice. Well, there was a hearing scheduled. I think I just got an email literally maybe about 20 minutes ago, half an hour ago, from the judge's clerk saying that he's not going to be in on the day we scheduled it for and asking to reschedule it. I think if the email I'm thinking of is actually what I think it is, then I think that the hearing got moved to May, but I'll mention it also in that hearing, and I'll have something posted to the website. So thanks for bringing that up, John.
I have a question also. When
Go ahead.
PBGC finally takes over.
Yeah.
And you're out and GRS is out. If we have any questions or issues, how do we contact PBGC?
There is a phone number and an email address that PBGC has set up for questions from the St. Joe's Plan participants. I don't know if it's active yet. Julie, if her mic is working, she could probably answer that. If her mic isn't working, then we'll shoot an email about it. But just so you're aware, as of right now, I am out technically. I'm still obviously here, but I'm out technically. And GRS is on assisting. Oh, Julie actually just sent a message saying the customer call number is on the frequently asked questions that she sent to participants. So there's a call center for the PBGC to answer questions about this plan. They've set up a number. So if somebody has questions, whether it be now or when I'm really, really out, when the judge tells me to get out, then any questions would go through there.
Is there some way I don't recall getting a list of possible questions and stuff with a phone number for PBGC.
Sure. What I'll do is, I believe it's posted to the website.
Your website?
Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
what I'll do is I'll see if maybe we can move it to the top of the queue, so that it's back at the front again, so that it's up there so that people can have that.
And is your website the Pierce Atwood? This is just .zoom. What is your?
Oh,
I don't have a pen.
we'll have to do the link to the website. I don't have it in front of me. Julie, I know you can hear me. You might not be able to talk, but number was provided by the PBGC to response from me asking for contact information of participants to reach the PBGC. Does anybody have the link to the documents handy? I don't have it in front of me. Diane, if Julie has a chance to post it to this, otherwise, if you could email me or Julie, and we'll send you the link to it. As a matter of fact, if you send me an email, I can send you the document itself, but also give you the link so that you can access it periodically.
And where would I send that email to? Is it on?
So you can send it to, my last name is easier for me to spell than Julie. So S Del Sesto, DELSESTO @pierceatwood.com.
Okay. So it's just S Del Sesto
at pierceatwood.com.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Sure.
I have a question.
Okay. How are you? Good.
Good. How are you, Steve?
Good.
I'm still working, and I
Me
have
too.
I have two questions.
Go
Is
ahead.
Bank of America still going to be the bank that they're going to use for us? And the second question is, when I do stop working and I need to change my withholdings for my pension, How do I do that? Because once a year, we get a piece of paper from the Bank of America if we want to change our withholdings on our pension.
Yep.
So right now, I'm taking out like 28% because I'm still working. But
Yep.
once I don't work, I'm going to lower it. So how am I going to be able to do that once the PBGC takes over? So is Bank of America still going to be the bank?
So Bank of America and Mercer. So Mercer does the investments, Bank of America does the benefits management. Both of them will stay in place for a period of time after the PBGC officially and fully takes over, so that there's that continuity. They may elect to keep Bank of America in place, or they may move it to another benefits manager, or benefits manager. Obviously you'd get notice of that when that was going to happen, but as of right now and until further notice, it's Bank of America. And in order to, if you're looking to change your withholdings now, you would make the request, I believe, it's through us still, because we're dealing with those administrative matters. So the forms would go to Bank of America or me and GRS. Or you could call that call center number that is on the frequently asked questions and ask them just to be sure. But if Bank of America sends out an annual notice so that you can change them, that'll continue until they are removed, if they are removed. But you'll know who they're being removed, when they're being removed, and you'll know who they're being replaced by. And then that should still continue, that request.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
And just to follow up, Julie just sent a message saying that the hearings were moved. They were April 30th, but
Yeah.
the judge had to move them today until May 9th because he was going to be out on the 30th. And we were told that about a half an hour ago. So you're getting information hot off the press. As I know about it, you know about it. It's real time. Marilyn, I saw your hand up. You're on mute.
Diane got in ahead of me and took my question.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Will the results be with the federal government being in the mess it's in? That was my question. Is PBGC going to be affected?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I don't have if you had asked me if any of the agencies that have been affected would be affected with the new administration, I would have said, probably not. But I would have been wrong. And I don't think I'm wrong here, but I hope I'm not wrong here. That having heard nothing about this agency, either in the news or from the people at the PBGC, my thought is that if it's not flying under the radar, it's an issue that is not a big issue to be focused on. Again, it's not an issue really for what is going on with the other agencies, because this one is not funded by the federal government. The employees are paid, but it's a small organization to begin with. So it's not, you're not talking about the SEC or the Department of Defense or anything that has thousands of employees. This is a much smaller organization.
Thank you, but I don't trust anything that's going on. It could be in the next 5 minutes.
That's true. Well, hopefully I don't update my answer in the next 5 minutes.
Can I interject?
Sure.
Okay. So if that were true, let's say they do have a small amount of people in the PBGC, and are they federal employees?
They are. That's what I was saying. Yeah. So the one place where the federal government does have an expense is with that payroll.
Okay.
The operation itself, the organization, is not funded by federal funds, but the employees are paid.
So if they eliminated those employees, what happens?
Well, the elimination of those employees would essentially eliminate that department. So there would have to be a decision that the department needed to be terminated, and then
And
they
they're
would-
independent.
Right,
Okay,
correct.
okay, that's good.
Thanks, Sandra. Good. Can I call you back? I'm in the middle of something.
Tell her we said hi, John.
Hi,
Hi, Lisa.
I don't know.
so this is my first time here. My father, Dr.
Let me call
Sultani,
you
was
back, okay?
a plan
Yeah.
participant and he passed away. And my sister, who is disabled, is now receiving a partial benefit of that as his beneficiary. And I just don't understand what's happening in terms of like the litigation and what the prospect is for her. Like, I'm just trying to get a sense of like what the future payments are going to look like, or whether they will continue, and what's actually being, what's like the open question, especially with the PBGC takeover.
So the PBGC takeover is what the result of that takeover is that the benefits that everybody worked for, including any survivor death benefits, things like that, will continue. And the PBGC has come in to make sure that those benefits are paid up to 100% of the statutory limit, which for purposes of this plan, essentially everybody falls under the statutory limit, which means that everybody will be receiving 100% of what they thought they were going to get. So with regard to the survivor benefits that you're talking about, those should continue under PBGC. Instead of me paying them through Bank of America, it will be the PBGC paying them through Bank of America, and then ultimately the PBGC may elect to use a different, they may bring it in-house, or they may use a different bank to do that piece of it. But the benefits to those who are receiving benefits, those should continue without reduction. And to those who have not yet qualified for benefits, once they do qualify, those benefits will be calculated in the same way they would have been, and they'll start receiving payments for their pension.
And so the benefit that she's getting now is the full benefit.
Okay, and so whatever she's
That's
getting
my
now.
question. I don't know.
Oh, whatever she's getting now is the full benefit that she would have been entitled to. But was it your father, you said, who passed away?
Yeah.
Okay, so however your father set it up in terms of how his beneficiary would get benefits once he passed, that's what she's receiving now, and that's
Okay.
not going to be reduced, and that's what she'll continue to receive for as long as she would have been able to receive it under his original plan.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And so the topic of the hearing is around the administrative transfer to PBGC.
Yep. The hearing on the 9th, I give the court reports every 60 to 90 days. Been doing that since 2017. Geez, 2017. So it's just the standard report to give the court basically a status of where we are.
Okay,
All right, which
Thank you.
what the court is going to hear on the 9th is almost identical to what you're hearing now.
thank you.
Sure.
Will there be another Zoom meeting before this is all over, or?
I am going to keep these going right up until the time that I am officially, formally, fully out.
Okay, we want to be
Once-
able to thank you for all you've done.
Well,
Truly.
I've gotten a number of thanks already, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But you're not rid of me yet. Once
Don't be.
I mean, you can be rid of me if you don't sign on. You don't have to see me.
Right.
Anybody who doesn't want to see me doesn't have to sign on to this. But I will stay on right up until I am officially 100% out because the PBGC has gotten everything they need. They've taken over, and I am no longer needed.
And we'll be notified of that?
Yeah, I will notify you that the transition is complete.
Okay.
And then I'll probably set up, obviously, if that goes on for another, let's say 2 to 3 months, we'll have another meeting before that anyway.
Mhm.
But I'll be letting everybody know, and I'll set up a final meeting at that point.
Great. Thank you.
Carol?
Hi, Stephen.
Hi.
I believe that I received some information by mail saying ultimately State Street Bank would be issuing our checks. Was that just in case?
That I don't think it was a just in case. That might have been part of the transition, maybe part of the transition away from Bank of America.
Okay.
Because I don't have the information right in front of me on that, I don't want to say that it was a piece or everything or anything, but I'll look that up. I'll go back and see what that is. The reason I'm a little confused is because State Street deals with Mercer, and there was some other money over at Schwab, and Mercer's staying in place as well. So I'm not sure exactly how the PBGC is dealing with that. They don't consult me on that stuff, but I am aware of when things move. I just don't know to what extent they are moving.
And also, I believe that
Stephen, can you hear me?
Rhode Island is one of the states that does not take tax from pensions. I do not pay state tax on my pension.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna make sure that I send out that notice again though for John. And if it doesn't come out, then or you don't have to pay the tax.
Right.
Then
Right.
yeah.
Rhode Island is one of the states that no longer taxes pensions.
Okay.
believe. And Lisa, I am so very sorry about your dad. I did not know he passed away. I loved him with all of my heart. He was the most wonderful gentleman, and I enjoyed working with him every day. And my condolences to Lily as well.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
I have somebody who it just says iPhone, so I'm not sure of your name. If you could take yourself off mute. There you go. Yes.
I have the letter, I believe it was Diane was looking for.
Yep.
Says where plan participants can go for more information. It's www.pbgc.gov. And then there's a phone number, it says Customer Contact Center, 800-400-7242.
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have the pen right in front of me, but
I did put it in, I tried
you-
to message it. My name is
You
Judy,
did.
by the way, Judy Loranja. I tried to message it and sent it in the group chat.
You did do that, Judy. You successfully did that because I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, okay, good. I'm not that computer savvy, but yeah, I have the letter right here, so anyway.
It is in the comment section.
Oh, thanks, Julie.
Yes, I apologize. I had to call in on my phone because my computer audio was not working. So sorry for all the typed comments. I do want to just note that the 1-800 number and the PBG's website, if you call tomorrow, if you call next week, if you call in 2-3 weeks, you're not going to be able to get any information. Because you're going to give them your name, you're going to give them the St. Joe's plan information, and they're going to tell you, we don't have you in our system.
Mhm.
That's accurate. They don't have you in their system yet, because part of what they're doing is creating their database from scratch. They have auditors and a lot of financial advisors from the PBGC. I mean, total, there's about 21 people that I've been dealing with there, who are going through the process to make sure that the data that they are inputting to create their database is 100% accurate. So while although we've been sending them weekly information and data, and GRS has been sending them, and Bank of America has been sending them, the database is not compiled yet. So you can certainly call. I'm not going to say don't call, but what I've been recommending to people is wait a little bit unless it's something that is an emergency, like you didn't get your benefit payments that you've been getting for years and this month you just didn't get one, then certainly reach out to me. If it's a PBGC issue, I can try to get you somebody there to reach out to. If it's a Bank of America issue, I can get you someone there that can help me. In turn, I can relay that information to you. But you're not going to be able to get any information from the PBGC as of right now until they fully compile their database. There's no estimated time frame for that. I wish I could tell you that it would be done in 2 weeks or done in a month or done tomorrow, but they're not able to tell me, so we can't tell you. So I don't want anybody to be alarmed. This is what I've been telling everybody that's been calling me. Don't be alarmed that they say they can't find you in their system, because that's expected.
And let me just kind of like follow up on, well, thank you, Julie, because that was very, very helpful. One of the things that they are doing, I said in the beginning that they are getting data, as Julie said too. They're getting data from us. They're getting data from GRS, from Bank of America. They're getting data from Prospect. And what they're doing is while they're compiling this database or making this database, part of what they're doing is they're checking, I'll put it this way, they're checking the math. They're making sure that everybody's benefits were calculated the way they should have been. They're not taking Angel's word for it or GRS's word for it. They're trying to get as much historical data as they can so that they can look and verify that the numbers that exist today were done correctly in the past so that they can make sure that their database is up to date. And with regard to doing that, they got to go into a lot of historical data. And while I said to you, Prospect is being cooperative on it, Prospect, many of the records for many of you, because you were employees for such a long period of time before those records were digital, are in a warehouse or actually multiple warehouses. And so the PBGC is literally sending teams of people into those warehouses to go piece by piece through the paper of those boxes to make sure that they have all the data. So if somebody who isn't collecting a benefit today says, I want my benefit, they'll have all of the records that are necessary to calculate what that benefit should be. Or if somebody calls and says, my benefit's wrong, they can look and they can verify the information and whatnot. So that's why I said it's taking longer than anybody anticipated, because the information is coming from multiple sources. It's not just like one Excel spreadsheet from one employer that can then just be transitioned over to PBGCs. This is multiple pieces of information from lots of sources, and some of it's in paper format. So I wasn't aware, because Julie gets those calls, but I wasn't aware that the customer contact number doesn't really provide much assistance at this point, but it does, it makes sense based on what I know that they're trying to do right now. Julie, feel free to add anything or correct anything I said, because I know.
No correction, but I will just add, because again, as participants are calling me and emailing me, I'm giving this information to them so I can get it to a whole group of you right now. If you are looking to change your address, if you're looking to change your bank account, if you need to request a duplicate copy of your tax documents sent out at the end of the year, administrative tasks like that, GRS received approval from PBGC to continue to process those while we're in transition. Ultimately, like Stephen said earlier, GRS is not going to be involved in the St. Joseph's pension plan. But in the meantime, they had to get special permission in order to continue to make these administrative changes. If not, then there would just be this freeze where nobody would even be able to change a direct deposit or update your address. In connection with that, the PBGC advised, and again, I don't know when they're going to send this, so I apologize, I can't be specific, but they did tell me that they will be sending to all participants an introductory letter. That's what I'm calling it. That's not what they called it. And one thing that that's going to contain is a form that they're going to ask every participant to complete and to send back to them, because they want to confirm your personal information. So that way their database and their payments are going to the people that you say you are. That way they know they are sending the correct payment to all of you. Again, I apologize. I don't know when you're going to receive that. I don't even know a time frame. But they did tell me that that will be their part of their first communications to all participants. So when you get it, whether or not you are currently receiving your benefits or you're not yet eligible to receive your benefits, or you're eligible or currently receiving a beneficiary benefit from a former employee, you do have to complete that out and send that back into them. I just want to stress that. Don't think that because you're getting your money and you've been receiving your pension for 20 years that you don't need to confirm your information with them. You will need to do that.
Thank you, Julie. Any other questions?
So,
Lisa?
yeah, when you say they're going to go back and make sure everybody's getting the right amount and so on, I recall that it took a lot of effort to show, like, GRS did not have a record of the survivor benefit election that my dad made when he made that decision to take a lower pension but have a survivor benefit. And we had to go back into like old records that my dad thankfully saved to show that he had made that election. And then she started getting and then when he died, she got the benefit. But I'm concerned that like at some point in the transfer of all of this data that might be lost because it was lost once before.
Well, if GRS has it now, as a result of the efforts that you and your father had gone through before he passed to get it to them, they'll have it. So the issue with the records you're talking about is the hospital provided record. Eventually, I don't know who they used initially, but Angel Pension was the actuary who did the benefits calculation. They got information from somebody, whoever the actuary was before them. At one point I remembered who they were, but I don't anymore. So this is hospital to actuary one to Angel, and then Angel had to get everything over to GRS. So as you can imagine, somewhere along the way, things get lost in the shuffle, especially when you're talking about records that existed pre-digital age and then we're transitioning over to digital ones. So that's part of the reason, by the way, that the PBGC is doing what they're doing by going into a warehouse and looking at historical employment documents and pension documents to make sure that they're recognizing that GRS's information is only as good as what Angel gave them. Angel's information may only be as good as what the actuary before them gave them, and so on and so on. So they're trying to compile as much information as possible. And like your situation, they may need the assistance of an individual at some point in time to say, here's the record, here's a copy that we have of what we did. Unfortunately, that's the universe that we're living in with that. My hope is that their efforts, which are substantial in terms of trying to get this information and compile as large of a file per employee, per pension holder as possible, will eliminate some of that, but it's impossible to say that it will eliminate all of it. But I think if your sister's receiving a benefit now, then that you don't have to worry about it all of a sudden stopping because they don't have a document. Obviously, at one point in time, whatever they have now, they're going to at least know that at one point in time the document existed. Otherwise, the benefits wouldn't have started to flow. So that'll continue.
Thank you.
Sure.
Steve, may I make a suggestion?
Sure, John.
I'm always concerned about stuff being mailed and not getting through with 2,709 folks or thereabouts. We're gonna get this form for GRS, that has to be filled out. Would it be possible, if you get notice that it has been sent out, to notify people that this form has been sent out, so that if one gets lost in the mail, there'll be if one of those forms for any reason doesn't arrive, the person would be aware that they should have it and
They should
take
have it.
steps. Yep.
Yeah, Julie, to the extent when, I don't remember if PBGC said that they would let us know when it happens, but if we could reach out to, I don't know if it's, Julie, so Julie Bernard or whoever it is over at PBGC, and ask them if they could give us the heads up on when that stuff does go out so we can let the pension holders know.
Yes, they didn't give a time frame, nor did they say that they would notify me, but I can certainly ask. They are going to be, from what I understand, they're going to be sending based upon the addresses that are on file with Bank of America. When Bank of America does their yearly census, that's every participant's personal information. So your name, your social security number, your mailing address, and any telephone or email address that you might have on file. So that's where the PBGC is getting their data from. So which could also help if somebody knows that you've recently relocated and you didn't reach out to me, maybe because you're getting a direct deposit. So it's not a big deal that Bank of America doesn't have your updated address. You're not receiving an actual check in the mail. But if you've relocated or you're just uncertain as to whether or not I or Bank of America have your address, please contact me, because as up to date as we can get that is definitely going to help with what you were just saying, John, with obviously people not getting it because we just have wrong addresses, never mind being lost in the mail. So I will ask PBGC to notify me in some way when they are starting to send those out.
The other, as an additional belt and suspenders, I would say this is we will post notice as soon as we find out about it. If any of you receive one of those forms before we post the notice, if you could forward it to us, and then we'll post it. We'll let everybody know that they've gone out, because if one of you has received it, that is likely means that many, if not all of you, are intended to be receiving it. So that way we'll notify you as soon as we know. And if you don't see anything, but you have it, then if you could just shoot one of us an email and say, I've got it. And that means they got mailed out. So it'll be a way for us to check with them and get a copy so we can post it. I gotta tell you, it seems like it was a lot less chaotic when it transitioned over to me. Maybe I should take over the PBGC's job. Are there any other questions? The one thing I will, this isn't any news about the pension plan at all, but this plan was featured. I know a couple of you know about this. Plan was featured in a front page story on the Wall Street Journal, in the Wall Street Journal. I believe it was the end of February, sometime around like February 26th to 27th. And it was, article started on the front page, had a full page inside. And it talked about your plan as well as another plan that did not fare as well. Basically two plans that kind of had the similar problems, and how this plan we were able to get the PBGC coverage. The other plan was not as fortunate. So kind of a tale of two cities. And I think the focus of the article was how church plan status allows organizations that fall under that designation to avoid informing their pension holders as to what's going on with the plan, funding and things like that, and the results of what can happen. And then here's two of those that have different sides of the coin in terms of how they ended up when they weren't informed, they were underfunded, and they ran into trouble. So
Were they represented?
they, I believe they were. I believe they were. Not as well. But
Of course not.
Can you post that
But
on the
it was
website?
say that again, John?
Would you post that on the website? I didn't-
If we can, I know I've got the paper version. The author of the article, the reporter, actually had sent me a link, but I believe the link expired. But I may be able to get a digital copy of it up. If I can, I will post it.
Right.
And would you post it on which of the sites would it be on? The state sites, the federal site, the
State site.
Local
And
site?
actually, Lisa just found it. She posted the link.
oh,
It's behind a paywall, though. You can't get to the whole article, but
Oh, all right. Well, I will try to find a copy of it that I can put on that you don't have to pay for. Marilyn.
I have a copy, a printed copy. The date was February 26th, but I have a printed copy that I can email over to you.
Okay.
Was
I
I-
have a printed copy as well. You were quoted in it, so can you sign mine? Huh?
He didn't use any of my information, and I was very upset.
I thought he did.
No, he did not. He spoke with, what's her name? She was on the, who was the other girl you contacted
Yeah.
to talk to?
It was
Julie.
Barbara.
Barbara O'Neill.
Barbara, he quoted Barbara O'Neill, but nothing from me. And I was a little upset.
I'll write a letter to the editor.
I'm not gonna do that.
All right.
When we post that to the website, I might post it under, there's a section that's titled something along the lines of info from receiver or something similar to that, that's on our website. So when you go to the site, expand that section. And if we can get the Wall Street Journal, article up, it'll be under that section.
All right. Worst comes to worst, I'll reach out to the author and see if he can send me another copy that we can post. All right. If there are no other questions, Lisa, did you have a question? or were
no,
you
I
just-
was just waving goodbye because I have
Okay.
to go.
If there are
Thank you
no
so
other
much.
questions, it was
Bye,
good
Carol.
seeing everybody. I hope everybody had a happy Easter and is starting to enjoy the change in the weather over to something a little warmer than what we had been having.
Excuse me, Stephen, I see
Yes.
Barbara O'Neill is raising her hand. Barbara, I don't know if you have a question or a comment or not.
I have a comment for Marilyn. I'm so disappointed that you were upset that I was quoted. But I worked there many, many years myself. And I can't thank Steve and Max Wistow and everyone who worked so hard for us to get this outcome. So I think it was a victory for everyone.
I agree with that, Barbara.
Thank you.
And again,
Thank you for all your
very
help,
much.
Steve
My pleasure.
and Julie.
Yes.
You're welcome.
And
All right.
you know, Steve, as an aside, I worked on finding records when I worked at Prospect.
I know, you and I spoke about that.
Yeah, so I don't know what the issue is now and if they need any help in helping everyone else find records, but I'm happily retired, but just FYI.
I will tell you, Barbara, that initially emails about getting access to things from Julie and I were responded to by saying, well, you got to contact the receiver about that. So,
Not surprised in any way,
Uh-huh.
but I would be happy to help anyone as I always have.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Unless there are any
Thanks again.
questions, I'm
No.
going to wish everybody a good night And I will see you at least in 6 or so weeks.
Okay, great.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
All
you.
right, take care.